Hello, we're glad to have you join us on the news on NT International, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Ruth Aguele. Let's take the headlines. President Buhari launches 2019 Armed Forces Remembrance Day Emblem Appeal Fund, emphasizes that Nigeria's peace is non-negotiable. World Food Day celebrations, federal government to provide financial support for smallholder farmers. International Monetary Fund says closing gender gap and inequality can grow country's GDP by 1.2%. And here's the news in details. The federal government is reassuring Nigerians that it will neither abdicate its responsibility nor fail to provide them an atmosphere devoid of security threats and criminality for a stable and prosperous future. President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated this while launching this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day Emblem Appeal Fund with 10 million naira, emphasizes that peace and security of Nigeria is non-negotiable. State House correspondent has the details. Adamu Sambo.
The launch of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day Emblem Appeal Fund is meant to not only give a befitting honor to the gallant officers and men who paid the supreme sacrifice to keep Nigeria united, but also provide and cater for their dependents, as well as those who survived with varying degrees of incapacitation. President Muhammadu Buhari said, more than anything else, the day must serve as a reminder of the need to jealously guard the unity of the country, which was won at a great cost.
We would like to commend and reinforce our gratitude to our men and women in the armed forces who have risen to the challenge of securing our nation and providing the enabling environment for national progress. The peace and security of Nigeria is non-negotiable, and the security agencies must continue to do their work diligently.
The federal government, he said, will remain steadfast in developing alliances with the international community, as well as providing necessary logistical support towards ensuring that the armed forces operate with the best modern warfare equipment towards totally defeating Boko Haram.
The task of resettling and rehabilitating our citizens, as well as the reconstruction of territories affected by the war, will continue to be one of our priorities of this administration. We shall not rest until all our displaced persons are safely resettled within their communities without fear of further attacks.
The president directed service leaders to take urgent steps towards the settlement of entitlements of their troops, as well as welfare packages designed for their dependents, saying families of fallen heroes must not suffer the loss of their loved ones or deprived of their due benefits.
Government agencies at the federal and state levels should continue to patronize the services of the Nigerian Legion in the provision of security services. The potentials of our ex-servicemen are enormous, and the economy can tap into this for national development. I wish to call on all Nigerians and others resident in Nigeria to procure and wear the emblems with pride.
Defense Minister Bashir Magashi, who spoke in the same vein, called for generous donations in support of the nation's veterans and dependents of all fallen heroes.
I wish also to remind us that the national security, without doubt, is the business of every Nigerian. I therefore call on Nigerians to be more security conscious and to continue to accord due support and encouragement to the armed forces of Nigeria in the task of safeguarding the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of our country.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day, organizers say, calls to mind the negative impact of strife and conflicts, and therefore demands that responsible citizens must at all times avoid actions that emphasize their differences. As President Muhammadu Buhari maintains, the strength of Nigeria lies in her diversity. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And to World Food Day now, the federal government is laying foundation for the country to be among the world's leading producers and suppliers of food crops. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a message delivered at 2019 Agric Show, marking this year's World Food Day, says more land will be opened up for cultivation while extension and financial support will be made accessible to smallholder farmers. Musa Baba Aliyu will tell us more.
This year's World Food Day is coming at a time when Nigeria is testing our capacity and ability to produce enough food to feed its population without dependence on importation. The federal government is insisting that the country has no reason importing what can be produced locally, especially vegetables and grains.
While we applaud this action, it is necessary for us, the farmers, to work very hard to reciprocate this gesture by embracing agriculture sustainably as a business and in order to make it the mainstay of the economy as obtained before the discovery of oil.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Sabo Nononu, says the country has no food crisis despite the closure of land border, explaining the fact that the country is food secured.
We are producing enough now to feed ourselves. And I think there is no hunger in this country. But if you say some inconveniences, yes.
Agriculturists are of the view that the country has been experiencing steady increase in her food production and supply since 2016.
The protection of our farmers against foreign invaders must rank high in our list of priorities because it would amount to self-sabotage if we cannot curb our appetite for imported food items.
Research has also shown that we have enough food. The planet Earth is producing enough food for the world population, but the distribution is a problem. There is shortage and wastage.
Nigeria and other 160 countries are celebrating this year's World Food Day with specific focus on zero hunger and balanced diet. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And still on agriculture, the race to meet the presidential challenge of returning the country to the January to December fiscal calendar continues with an interactive meeting between the National Assembly Joint Committees on Agriculture and Rural Development and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, as well as agencies, institutions and parastatals under it. National Assembly correspondent Vivian Idekbefo will tell us more.
From the Federal Ministry of Agriculture reveals that Nigeria has about 70 million farmers, a figure experts believe is inadequate to feed the nation's 190 million population. This and how to effectively address challenges of innovation and lack of research by institutions saddled with such responsibilities form the basis for this meeting as the National Assembly works to meet its 3 weeks target to conclude all appropriation-related matters for transmission to the Executive for assent. Chairman, Senate Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, led the lawmakers in the discussion with officials of the Ministry of Agriculture.
In line with the 9th National Assembly set goals and legislative agenda set to make national economy great and to ensure optimal welfare and quality of opportunities for Nigerian citizens. These can only be achieved as a result of good budget performance of the executive. There is no doubt that Nigeria's economy has had considerable trials and challenges.
With a 2020 budget estimate of 83 billion naira, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Sani Nanono, and his team are faced with the challenge of how to tackle the disproportionate ratio of agri-extension workers, currently numbered 14,000, get adequate funding for the Bank of Agriculture, and the introduction of a pricing policy which is intended to help farmers make the right choices during planting season.
20 budget proposal of the ministry has therefore been prepared to align with project prioritization for the agricultural sector. The projects involve broad areas with key deliverables that are consistent with the economic recovery program to achieve quick transformation in the agricultural sector.
If you look at it critically, we have problems of insecurity and unemployment. And with the conversation we have with the ministers and the farm set for the first time, I think the sky is our limit.
Going forward, the lawmakers want certain aspects incorporated into the financial document to stem what they describe as perpetual rollover of projects in their constituencies.
I look at what you have for 2020 and what the ministry had in 2019 or has in 2019. It appears it has not addressed the issue of post-harvest.
My basic concern is fundamentally on the issue of the Northeast. How do you synergize the security aspect in that area and your projects?
I have a feeling that we do not have control over the pesticides we use. So what have we done to look at this issue?
The meeting rose in agreement to support the current directive on partial border closure, as both parties consent to the need to harmonize funding strategies with the Central Bank of Nigeria while working towards achieving the president's target of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of.
We apologize for that. That report was by Vivian Idekbefu. All right, let's talk judiciary now. The legal system in Nigeria encourages freedom of expression and fair hearing as part of the bundle of rights under Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. This and other rights are protected by the courts. In this report, Dele Atombi takes a look at the implications of comments on matters pending before the court of competent jurisdiction.
Section 6 of the Constitution establishes the courts and vested the judicial powers in them. Litigants in either civil or criminal matters are by these and other sections of the Constitution encouraged to approach the court for redress on any infringement or to avert an infringement. These sections of the Constitution also guaranteed the independence of the judiciary as an arm of government. With the judicial powers vested in the courts, matters before them are expected to be adjudicated upon and determined with the law as it is. While a matter lies within the court of competent jurisdiction, fair comments may be entertained, but unfair comments are not expected, as these could be sub judice. When a matter is before the court, reference to it does not, by the mere fact, make it an offense. A matter is believed to be sub judice if it is still being discussed in a court of law, and it is therefore illegal for anyone to talk about the material facts on the television or in the newspapers, as this could lead to contempt of the court.
Call is sub judice, and it is contempt of court, that the person can be punished for a term of imprisonment or fine.
You are said to be interfering with a matter that is sub judice. So, for instance, matter is in court, and I'm out there saying by the weight of evidence, this man is going to win, or blah, blah, blah. Then at that point, you are trying to get the public against a likely decision of a court that may not be as you've been telling the public.
Under the law, contempt of court can be categorized into three. While the first contempt may be in form of scandalizing the court itself, there may be contempt in form of abusing parties who are involved in litigation, as well as prejudicing the courts before a matter is heard.
Much as we are permitted, or members of the public are permitted to make, the word is fair comments about proceedings that are sub judice, fair comments, they are prohibited from making statements that are preemptive.
This is the paper we filed on 12th October 2019. Now, we tried to serve them on Saturday. They locked them in their offices. Only God knows whether it is intentional or not. We couldn't serve them. These are the people who are saying that there is delay and so on. You are locking up your office so that you are not served. You are doing this, and you'll be the same person to go on air and criticize everything on that you yourself know is is not right.
The legal practitioners termed any comment capable of putting the court in public ridicule on any matter before it as sub judice. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi ends.
And still on the judiciary, an Abuja resident, Maryam Sanda, who is alleged to be involved in the murder of her husband, Biliam Aminu Bello, has denied culpability in the death of the deceased. The defendant is facing a 2-count charge bordering on murder before an FCT High Court sitting in Abuja. Olabode Arewa reports.
The trial of Maryam Sanda for the alleged murder of her husband, Biliam Aminu Bello, in their Wuse Abuja home on the 19th of November 2017 continued, with the defendant opening and closing her defense. Maryam Sanda, during cross-examination by the prosecution counsel, Adama Musa, said a nude female picture allegedly found in her husband's handsets led to their disagreements. In the process, Maryam alleged that Biliam Aminu tripped and fell on a bottle, which broke and pierced him on the chest. The prosecution counsel tendered several exhibits, including her witness statements at the Maitama police station after the incident. In the statement read in the open court, she had allegedly admitted breaking the bottle in anger following her claim that Biliam Aminu molested her. Though she alleged that their 2-year marriage had not been peaceful, she denied killing her husband. During the trial, the prosecution and the defense teams called 6 witnesses: her mother, Memunatu, her brother Aliu, and her housemate Sadia were accused of conspiracy in the case.
Just give us a statement, please. No, there's no need.
Maryam Sanda's alleged action is contrary to Section 221 of the Penal Code. The court, having heard the evidence from other parties in the matter, fixed the 25th of November for the final written addresses by the defense and the prosecution team in Abuja. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
All right, let's go on a break. We'll be back, so please stay tuned.
That channel where you watch just now don't waka, no panic.
There's me no panic.
You go do it by yourself like ABC. Oh yeah, press the menu button on top your remote. Scroll up and down till you see Information Central. Then press OK.
Press OK.
Check the signal strength and quality. If the signal strength and quality pass 70, make you press the exit button, go back. Go advanced options, then choose installation, then go to reset and press OK.
Yeah, press OK. Wow, now you sef fit catch all those channels wey be one miss road by yourself. Yes, make your groove for no loss. You see as I do am, abi? And I see as I do am.
Go TV, live it, love it.
And I see as
NTAI has gone mobile. Catch your favorite programs anywhere in the world by going to Play Store on Android and App Store on iOS. Search for Vision TV UK, download and install. Then you're good to go.
All right, thanks for staying with us. With a call for more emphasis to be laid on gender balance, the International Monetary Fund says closing gender gap and inequality can grow the country's GDP by 1.2%. Chimobi Walter in Nigeria reports that this was on the sidelines of the ongoing IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C.
With a population of about 200 million people in Nigeria, women, of course, account for 49.33% of that population. But this, experts say, has not accounted for an economic gain for the country, as women engage more in petty businesses, especially in the rural communities. To correct this anomaly, both in Nigeria and globally, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is making efforts to get governments and the private sector to sort ways of encouraging women entrepreneurs and giving women more leadership roles, as this is believed to yield positive economic growth in the country and globally.
Making sure that the economic advantages of women participating do not create huge disadvantages in families. For example, having childcare. Again, childcare benefits men and women, but it benefits women labor market participation more.
Now, the meeting aims, among other things, to grant financial access to women and address other issues that affect women's bargaining power in ensuring that their role as women is felt economically in the country. In Washington, D.C., I'm Chimobi Walter Naji.
Thanks, Chimobi. And back home, still on the financial sector, here is Onengie Fineface with details.
Talking about minerals and mining, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has announced the discovery of hydrocarbon deposits in the Kolmani River 2 well on the Upper Benue Trough and Gongola Basin in the northeastern part of the country. A release by the Acting Group General Manager, Public Affairs of the NNPC, Samson Makoji, states that the NNPC acquired 435.54 square kilometers of 3D seismic data over Kolmani prospect in the Upper Benue Trough, Gongola Basin. Preliminary reports indicate that the discovery consists gas, condensate, and light sweet oil of API gravity ranging from 38 to 41 found in stacked silicilastic reservoirs of Yolde, Bima, and Pre-Bima formations. The International Monetary Fund has urged policymakers around the world to work assiduously towards reducing regional and global trade tensions so as not to increase market vulnerabilities. This, they say, will adversely affect capital inflows and foreign direct investments. The IMF also says that non-Paris Club agreements in Africa grows the issues of debt vulnerabilities on the continent. That's it on Business News segment. I'm Onengie Fineface.
All right, thank you, Onengie. Now, Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, has promised a makeable resolution of the lingering issues of consequential salaries adjustment between the federal government and organised labour. He gave the assurance in his opening remarks at the day 2 of the meeting holding at the conference room of the ministry. The meeting, which has been attended by all members of the negotiating committee, including the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Wages and Salaries Commission, and organised labour unions, is expected to conclude the agitations on salary issues and arrive at a figure. The meeting has gone into a technical session behind closed doors. And President Muhammadu Buhari has approved for immediate implementation of additional cost-saving measures aimed at instilling financial discipline and prudence, particularly in the area of official travels, in a bid to curb leakages, and ensure efficiency in the management of government resources. All right, let's move on. The Federal Executive Council this Wednesday approved more than 2 billion naira for the provision of critical infrastructure to further strengthen security in the nation's aviation sector. Now, this has come in less than a week after the sector was adjudged as one of the most secured in the aviation world. The Council equally approved the construction of 2 oil and gas parks towards providing better service for the petroleum industry in Nigeria. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports. All right, we'll bring you details in our subsequent bulletin. And in another development, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has advised the general public to be aware of fraudsters and their cohorts who use his designation and office to defraud unsuspecting Nigerians. Here's the report.
In a statement, Boss Mustafa said his attention has been drawn to unrelenting activities of faceless persons using the social media and other platforms to lure unsuspecting members of the public to submit their curriculum vitae at a fee to a non-existing desk at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation for federal government appointments. Similarly, inaccurate information is being peddled about constituency projects being executed under his office, while numerous forged introductory letters purportedly issued from his office seeking diverse favors from individuals and corporate entities for personal gains are in circulation. Boss Mustafa notes that for the avoidance of doubt, his office neither executes nor supervises constituency projects, and that measures have been taken to track these imposters and bring them to justice.
All right, up next is foreign news with Justin Bem-Unyi.
Uganda is set to immunize more than 18 million children against measles and rubella in a 5-day mass immunization campaign. The campaign, funded by the country's government, AVI, the Vaccine Alliance, the United Nations Children's Fund, and the World Health Organization, covers 43% of the population. The immunization campaign includes 8.2 million children younger than 9 months, or 20.5% of the population will also receive the oral polio vaccine. In other news, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has rejected a U.S. call for an immediate ceasefire in northern Syria. Mr. Erdogan's comments come ahead of a visit to Turkey by the U.S. Vice President and U.S. Secretary of State. Turkey launched an offensive designed to drive away Kurdish troops after their main ally, the U.S., pulled out. Russia, which backs Syria, has said it prevented clashes between Turkish and Syrian forces, which have now moved into the area after a deal with the Kurds. Turkey considers elements of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces a terrorist organization and want to push them away from the border area. In the meantime, EU and UK officials have resumed Brexit talks in the hope of reaching a deal that can be agreed by leaders at a key summit on Thursday. Reports say Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to update the cabinet on the progress of the negotiations, which continued into the early hours. On Tuesday, there were unconfirmed reports that an agreement was imminent. Justin Bem-Unyi, NTA News.
And that concludes the news at 7 on NTA International. Thanks for your time. I am Ruth Aguele. Bye.